Imagine waking up in the morning, feeling tired, slightly puffy, or simply not quite like yourself, and wondering whether your kidneys are keeping up with the job they have to do every single day. Your kidneys work around the clock, filtering waste and excess fluid from your blood. And as we get older, protecting kidney function becomes even more important. But here is something many people overlook. The foods you choose every day can influence your overall kidney health. And some fruits can be particularly useful additions to a balanced diet. Today, we're looking at 4 fruits that may deserve a place on your plate if you're over 60. But before we get to the first one, there's an important point I want you to understand. There is no fruit that can literally flush toxins out of your kidneys overnight. Your kidneys already have a natural filtration system. So rather than promising a miracle detox, we're going to focus on something much more useful. Which fruits can support a kidney-friendly eating pattern and why they may matter as you age. I'm Dr. Calvin Stone, and my goal is to make complicated health information easier to understand so you can make smarter decisions about your daily routine. And the first fruit on our list is especially interesting because it's something many people already have sitting in their kitchen. It's the humble apple. You might think of an apple as nothing more than a convenient snack. But apples provide fiber, fluids, and a variety of plant compounds, making them a practical choice for many older adults. And there's another reason apples are worth talking about. As you get older, kidney health isn't just about one food or one nutrient. It's about the overall pattern of what you eat. A diet built around a variety of fruits, vegetables, whole foods, and appropriate amounts of protein can be very different from a diet dominated by highly processed foods. So when you reach for an apple instead of a heavily processed snack, you're not performing a kidney cleanse. You're simply making one small dietary choice that can fit into a healthier pattern. And that distinction matters. Because there's a common mistake people make when they hear the words kidney detox. They start looking for extreme cleanses, special drinks, or products that promise to remove toxins from the body overnight. But your kidneys don't need a magic drink. They need you to pay attention to the bigger picture. And depending on your kidney function, even healthy foods may need to be chosen carefully. For example, people with chronic kidney disease may be advised to monitor certain nutrients, including potassium, depending on their individual situation. That's why the same fruit that works well for one person may not be appropriate in unlimited amounts for someone with advanced kidney disease. So think of today's list as a guide for understanding your options, not as a prescription. Now, the second fruit is where things get even more interesting because it brings something to the table that many older adults don't get enough of. And it may be one of the simplest ways to make your everyday diet more nutrient-dense. That second fruit is berries. And this is where things get particularly interesting. Blueberries, strawberries, raspberries, and blackberries are naturally rich in plant compounds, and they can add flavor and variety without requiring you to rely on highly processed foods. But there's a bigger lesson here. When people hear kidney health, they often focus on what they need to eliminate. Less salt, less processed food, less sugary drinks. But kidney-friendly eating isn't only about restriction. It's also about what you can add. A small bowl of berries with breakfast, for example, can be a simple way to include more whole foods in your day. And berries have another advantage. They're easy to combine with other foods. You might add them to plain yogurt, oatmeal, or simply eat them on their own. Now, you may be wondering, if berries are so good, should I eat as many as possible? Not necessarily. More is not always better. If you have been diagnosed with kidney disease, particularly if you've been told to restrict potassium or fluids, your individual recommendations may be different. Your doctor or registered dietitian can help you determine which fruits and portions make sense for you. For everyone else, the goal is much simpler. Choose whole fruits regularly, vary your choices, and avoid turning one food into a miracle cure. And there's a reason I'm emphasizing this. Your kidneys don't suddenly become healthier because you eat one special fruit tonight. Kidney health is influenced by many things, including blood pressure, blood sugar, hydration, medications, overall diet, and existing kidney conditions. So think of these fruits as pieces of a much larger puzzle. Now let's move to the third fruit, because this one is especially refreshing, and it contains a surprising amount of water. I'm talking about watermelon. Watermelon can be a refreshing way to consume both water and nutrients, especially during hot weather. And for someone who doesn't naturally drink enough fluids, foods with a high water content can contribute to overall fluid intake. But here's where we need to slow down. You may have heard that drinking enormous amounts of water flushes the kidneys. That's not a good rule to follow blindly. Your fluid needs depend on your health and circumstances. For some people with healthy kidney function, regular hydration is important. But people with certain kidney, heart, or liver conditions may actually have specific fluid restrictions. So if your healthcare professional has told you to limit fluids, don't increase your water or high fluid foods simply because someone online told you to detox your kidneys. Follow your individualized medical advice. For most people, though, watermelon can simply be another whole food option. And notice what we're doing here. We're not trying to force your kidneys to work harder. We're giving your body nutritious foods while avoiding the extreme claims that often surround detox diets. And there's another detail about watermelon that deserves attention. Portion size. Even a healthy food can contribute significant sugar and calories when eaten in very large amounts. That's particularly important if you're watching your blood sugar. A reasonable portion, eaten as part of a balanced meal or snack, is very different from sitting down with an enormous bowl and eating half of a watermelon at once. This is the kind of practical distinction that can make healthy eating much easier after 60. You don't need perfection. You need consistency. And now we're ready for the fourth fruit. This one is small, colorful, and often overlooked. But it may be one of the most useful choices on this list for people who want to add more variety to their diet. It's grapes. Grapes provide water and plant compounds, and they can be an easy alternative to processed sweets. Instead of reaching for cookies or candy in the afternoon, a portion of fresh grapes can satisfy the desire for something sweet while also giving you a whole fruit. But there's an important kidney health warning here too. If you have kidney disease, you shouldn't assume that every fruit is automatically appropriate in unlimited quantities. Your kidney function and blood potassium level matter. That means the best fruit for you may depend on your medical situation. And this is exactly why a personalized approach is more useful than a viral detox list. Because the real goal isn't to flush toxins overnight. The real goal is to support the systems your body already uses to remove waste, while reducing the habits that can place unnecessary strain on your health. And once you understand that, these four fruits start to look very different. They aren't miracle cures. They're practical foods that can fit into a balanced diet. But there's still one important question we haven't answered. What should you actually do tomorrow morning if your goal is to make your diet more kidney-friendly? Start simple. You don't need a complicated detox plan. You don't need a special powder. And you don't need to spend money on a product promising to clean your kidneys. Instead, look at your entire morning. What are you drinking? What are you eating? And how much processed food is making its way onto your plate? For example, you might start with a simple breakfast containing a whole grain food, a reasonable source of protein, and a portion of fruit. That fruit could be some berries, an apple, or another option that fits your individual dietary needs. The important part is consistency. One healthy breakfast won't transform kidney function, but repeated healthy choices can become part of a lifestyle that supports your overall health. And there is one habit that deserves just as much attention as the fruits we've discussed. Watch your sodium intake. Many people think about salt only when they're trying to control blood pressure. But blood pressure and kidney health are closely connected. A diet high in sodium can contribute to higher blood pressure in many people, and uncontrolled high blood pressure can damage the kidneys over time. So sometimes the most useful kidney detox isn't adding something exotic to your diet. It's simply reducing the heavily processed foods that deliver large amounts of sodium. Think canned soups, processed meats, salty packaged snacks, and many restaurant meals. You don't have to eliminate everything overnight. Start by noticing where the biggest sources are in your own diet. Then make one change. Maybe you choose a lower sodium option at the grocery store. Maybe you prepare one more meal at home. Maybe you replace a salty snack with a piece of whole fruit. Small changes become much easier to maintain when you don't try to change everything at once. And this brings us back to those four fruits. Apples can provide fiber and fit easily into everyday meals. Berries add variety and plant compounds. Watermelon can provide a refreshing, water-rich option for people who don't have a fluid restriction. And grapes can offer a naturally sweet alternative to highly processed desserts. But remember the most important rule. Your medical condition comes first. If you've been diagnosed with chronic kidney disease, are on dialysis, have been told to restrict potassium or fluids, or have another condition that affects your diet, don't assume this general list applies to you in the same way. Your healthcare professional may recommend different fruits, different portions, or different nutrient targets. And that's not a contradiction. That's personalized healthcare. Now, there's another mistake I want you to avoid. Don't judge your kidney health based on how you feel after eating a particular food. Your kidneys can be affected by problems that don't cause obvious symptoms in the early stages. That's one reason routine medical care matters. Blood pressure checks and appropriate blood and urine tests can provide information that you simply cannot get from a detox, drink, or from looking at your urine. So if you're over 60 and you haven't discussed your kidney health with your healthcare professional recently, that's a much more meaningful step than searching for an overnight cleanse. And if you have symptoms that concern you, such as persistent swelling, major changes in urination, unusual fatigue, or other unexplained changes, don't try to diagnose yourself with a fruit list. Get appropriate medical advice. Because awareness is useful. Panic is not. And that is really the message behind today's 4 fruits. Your kidneys already have an incredible job. Your goal isn't to force them to flush toxins overnight. Your goal is to support your overall health so your kidneys can continue doing their normal work. And sometimes, the healthiest choice is surprisingly ordinary. A piece of fruit. A home-cooked meal, less processed food, reasonable hydration, better blood pressure control, and regular medical care when it's needed. That's a much more realistic approach to protecting your health after 60. There's no magic fruit, but there are thousands of small decisions you make over the course of a year, and those decisions can add up. And if there is one thing I want you to remember from this entire video, it is this. Don't look for a miracle. Look for a pattern. Asterisk, asterisk. A kidney-supportive lifestyle is built from ordinary choices repeated consistently. The apple you eat instead of a processed snack. The berries you add to breakfast. The portion of fruit you choose instead of a sugary dessert. The effort you make to reduce excess sodium. The decision to keep your blood pressure and blood sugar under control. And the willingness to speak with your healthcare professional when something doesn't feel right. Those choices may not sound dramatic. But your health doesn't need to be dramatic to be meaningful. And there is one final point that is especially important if you're over 60. Don't let your age convince you that decline is inevitable. Getting older does not mean you have to stop paying attention to your nutrition, your activity, your blood pressure, your blood sugar, or your kidney health. You still have choices. And sometimes the most powerful choice is simply becoming more aware of what you are doing every day. So if apples, berries, watermelon, or grapes fit comfortably into your personal diet, they can be enjoyable ways to add whole fruit to your meals. But if you have kidney disease or have been given specific dietary restrictions, use your healthcare professional's recommendations rather than a general internet list. And please remember, never stop or change a prescribed medication simply because you saw a food or detox claim online. If you're concerned about a medication or supplement, speak with your doctor or pharmacist. Now I'd like to hear from you. Which of these 4 fruits do you eat most often? Apples, berries, watermelon, or grapes? Leave your answer in the comments. And if this video helped you understand kidney health a little more clearly, consider subscribing to the channel. We focus on practical health information designed to help older adults stay informed, independent, and confident about their health. Because after 60, taking care of yourself isn't about chasing every new health trend. It's about understanding your body, making sensible choices, and giving yourself the best opportunity to stay strong and independent for years to come. And if you're interested in kidney health, there's another question worth exploring. Which everyday foods may be quietly making kidney-friendly eating more difficult? Even when they look completely harmless? That may be the next place to look.